Okay, let's talk about car prices right now because we know they're still pretty high, especially with
A tsunami of supersized American-style pickup trucks are hitting Melbourne roads as sales reach record levels, but some fed-up drivers say the vehicles have no place down under.
Truck prices still feel painfully high, and for a lot of buyers, it feels like nothing has changed. Walk past a dealership today, and the numbers on the window still look intimidating. But the real shift in the truck market isn't happening on the sticker anymore. It's happening in the financing office. Late last year, Ford quietly rolled out a promotion that offered lower interest rates on F-150s to buyers with weaker credit profiles, including borrowers who normally wouldn't qualify for favorable terms. That move alone tells you everything you need to know. When a manufacturer starts making financing easier for higher-risk buyers, it's usually not generosity, it's pressure. It means the market is pushing back hard on affordability. And affordability is the core problem right now. Full-size pickups have climbed into a pricing tier that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Even average transactions now sit in a range that demands serious income stability, especially with interest rates still elevated. Buyers aren't just asking, "Can I afford this truck anymore?" They're asking, "Can I survive the payment for the next 6 or 7 years?" At the same time, incentives have turned into weapons. Rival brands are dangling aggressive financing offers, sometimes even zero to reset buyer expectations. And once one brand does that, the entire market feels the pressure. When shoppers see one truck advertised with a dramatically lower payment, it instantly makes every other deal explains itself. That's why what's happening now matters so much. This isn't a temporary slowdown or a seasonal adjustment. It's a structural stress test of how far truck prices can stretch before buyers refuse to follow. And when buyers stop following, automakers don't panic publicly. They adjust quietly through financing, incentives, and credit approvals that never make the headlines. In this video, we're breaking down what's really happening in the truck market as we head into the next model year. Why pickups drifted into luxury territory, why financing has become the true battleground, what Ford's recent moves actually signal, and most importantly, how buyers can navigate this shift without getting trapped by payments that quietly take over their lives. Because the market didn't collapse overnight, it cracks slowly, and the people who notice early usually avoid the worst damage. Real quick, if you're into videos that cut through the noise and break things down clearly, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people find this. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. We've got more deep dives coming your way. Also, drop a comment and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your take. Now on to the video. The modern pickup didn't become expensive by accident. It became expensive because trucks turned into the auto industry's safest profit engine. As sedans lost popularity and margins tightened elsewhere, full-size trucks became the place where manufacturers could raise prices with the least resistance. The change didn't happen all at once. It happened layer by layer. First came more trims. Then came bundled packages that forced buyers into higher price brackets just to get basic features. Then came bigger screens, premium interiors, and advanced driver aids that shifted expectations. Over time, the pickup stopped being sold as a tool and started being sold as a lifestyle upgrade that just happened to have a bed. What made this work was normalization. Buyers weren't told they were spending more, they were told this was just how trucks are now. And during years of strong demand and easy credit, the market went along with it. But that illusion only holds when borrowing is cheap. Once interest rates rise, every price increase gets amplified through monthly payments. That's where things began to break. A truck that might look manageable on paper suddenly becomes overwhelming once the financing is calculated. Payments stretch longer, interest piles up, and buyers who thought they were comfortable discover they're one unexpected expense away from financial stress. This is where brand loyalty starts to crack. People love their trucks, but loyalty has a ceiling. When the math stops working, even longtime fans start shopping differently. They compare monthly payments instead of badges. They cross-shop brands they never would have considered before. Or they walk away entirely and decide to keep what they already have running as long as possible. Manufacturers can't ignore that shift, But cutting sticker prices outright is a public admission that pricing went too far. So instead, the battlefield moves behind the scenes. Financing gets tweaked. Incentives grow louder. Approval standards shift. And suddenly, deals appear that didn't exist months earlier. That's exactly why Ford's recent financing strategy stood out. It wasn't just a promotion. It was a signal that the traditional buyer pool wasn't clearing the market fast enough at standard terms. And once that realization sets in, it doesn't stay contained. It ripples outward into used values, dealer behavior, and the incentives every buyer sees next. Next, we'll break down how the incentive war really works and why 0% financing has become the most powerful psychological weapon in the truck market. This is where the truck market stops being about vehicles and starts being about psychology. Incentives don't just move inventory, they reshape what buyers believe is reasonable. And nothing does that faster than a low or zero interest rate. When one brand advertises 0% financing, it immediately reframes the entire shopping experience. Buyers stop asking what's the price and start asking why am I paying interest at all? A truck priced higher on paper can suddenly feel cheaper if the monthly payment drops enough. That's why incentives hit harder than rebates. A few $1,000s off the sticker feels abstract. A lower payment feels personal. This is exactly why incentive wars tend to escalate quickly. Once one manufacturer plays the financing card, every other brand is forced to respond or risk looking uncompetitive overnight. Buyers don't analyze strategy, they compare payments. And when a dealer across the street offers a dramatically lower payment on a similar truck, loyalty starts to wobble. What makes this moment different is timing. These incentives aren't showing up in a healthy, overheated market. They're showing up in a market already strained by high prices and elevated borrowing costs. That means the incentive isn't just a bonus, it's a lifeline for demand. Once buyers see zero-interest offers, it becomes very hard to convince them to accept standard rates again. A deal that would have felt acceptable 6 months ago suddenly looks overpriced, even if nothing changed except what a competitor is offering. This also explains why incentives rotate so aggressively. Short windows, specific trims, limited terms. Brands are trying to move inventory without training buyers to wait forever. But once that door opens, it's difficult to close. Buyers remember what they saw. They talk. They wait. And while incentives feel like good news for shoppers, they carry consequences that ripple outward. When new trucks get easier to buy, used trucks lose their pricing shield. When payments drop on new models, buyers stop tolerating inflated prices on older ones. That's where the next pressure point appears, not on the showroom floor, but across the used market. Ford's move to offer lower interest rates to borrowers with weaker credit profiles didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened because something else wasn't working. When a manufacturer adjusts financing instead of pricing, it's usually because cutting sticker prices is the last thing they want to do. From the outside, it looks like expanded access. Inside the industry, it looks like a recalibration of risk. The buyer pool that could comfortably absorb today's truck payments shrank faster than expected. And when that happens, companies face a choice: reduce prices, reduce rates, or expand who qualifies. Ford chose the third option. This isn't about one brand being reckless or benevolent, it's about pressure. Trucks are expensive to build, expensive to store, and expensive to sit on. Inventory that doesn't move quietly bleeds money through financing costs, storage, and lost opportunity. Making credit more accessible is a way to turn stalled metal into book sales without publicly admitting prices overshot reality. But there's a trade-off. Financing higher-risk borrowers at better rates increases exposure. That doesn't automatically mean disaster, but it does mean the company is betting that volume and momentum matter more than caution right now. What's important for viewers to understand is the signal this sends. When a market is healthy, automakers don't need to stretch credit. When demand is strong, approval standards stay tight and pricing power remains intact. When credit loosens, it's often because affordability is becoming the choke point. This also explains why the move didn't come with loud advertising. Financing strategies don't get billboards, they get fine print. They get dealer talking points. They get quietly pushed to the buyers most sensitive to monthly payments. And once one major player makes that adjustment, others watch closely. If it works, it becomes a template. If it fails, it becomes a cautionary tale. Either way, it marks a turning point. Because when financing becomes the lever, the market is no longer pretending prices are sustainable on their own. It's admitting that something has to give, even if it doesn't want to say what that something is. And that brings us to the next domino. What happens when new truck affordability shifts and used trucks are forced to compete? The moment new trucks become easier to buy, whether through lower rates, stronger incentives, or expanded approvals, the used market feels it almost immediately, and not gently. Used prices survive on one key advantage: affordability. As long as new trucks stay out of reach, used vehicles can command a premium. But when new payments start creeping closer to used payments, that advantage disappears fast. This doesn't hit all used trucks equally. The first to soften are high-trim, high-dollar models that were priced close to new even before incentives appeared. When buyers realize they can get a brand new truck for a similar payment, the logic of paying top dollar for a lightly used one collapses. Then comes the second wave: trade-ins. When new deals improve, more people are willing to swap. That increases used supply just as demand weakens. Prices don't fall in a dramatic crash, they slide, quietly, month after month. And that's often worse, because sellers don't realize what's happening until equity has already evaporated. This is where a lot of owners get trapped. They bought at peak pricing, they financed at higher rates, and now, even if their truck is fine, the market around it is shifting underneath them. The value they assumed was stable turns out to be fragile. Dealers see this before consumers do. They watch auction prices, they watch days on lot numbers. They adjust offers and trade values long before public perception catches up. And once dealers get cautious, the market tightens further. This is also why buyers who aren't shopping right now should still pay attention. Market shifts don't ask permission. They affect insurance payouts, trade-in equity, and future purchasing power, whether you're ready or not. What looks like a win for new truck buyers in the short term can quietly reshape the entire ecosystem. And that reshaping doesn't stop with prices. It changes dealer behavior, sales tactics, and how aggressively inventory gets pushed out the door. Next, we'll step inside the dealership itself, where floor plan costs, inventory pressure, and end-of-month realities start driving decisions that buyers rarely see but always feel. To understand where the truck market is heading, you have to look past the ads and step inside the dealership's balance sheet. Because what's happening there explains almost every strange deal. Buyers are starting to see. Dealers don't just own the vehicles sitting on their lots. Most of that inventory is financed through something called floor plan lending. Every truck that sits unsold accrues interest daily. The longer it stays, the more expensive it becomes. When prices were rising and demand was hot, that cost barely mattered. Trucks move fast, inventory turned quickly, profit covered the interest. That's no longer the case. As affordability tightened and buyers slowed, inventory began lingering. Days on lots stretched longer, and suddenly, every unsold truck became a ticking clock. This is when dealer behavior changes, not because they want to discount aggressively, but because they have to manage risk. This pressure explains why buyers are seeing contradictions. A salesperson might insist pricing is firm, but the finance office suddenly becomes flexible. Or a dealer who wouldn't negotiate last quarter now calls you back days later with a better offer. These aren't mood swings, they're responses to inventory stress. End-of-month pressure intensifies everything. Dealers have targets tied to manufacturer incentives, financing bonuses, and allocation priorities. Missing those targets doesn't just hurt one month, it affects future inventory access. So when the calendar flips, deals that weren't possible suddenly become negotiable. This is also why financing plays such a big role. A deal that looks strong on the front end might be quietly subsidized on the back end. Lower APRs, extended terms, or special approvals help move inventory without visibly cutting prices. To the manufacturer, the sale is booked. To the dealer, the floor plan clock stops. To the buyer, the payment drops just enough to say yes. But this environment also creates risk for consumers. When pressure is high, sales tactics become more aggressive. Long loan terms stretch payments thinner. Add-ons get bundled quietly, and buyers focused only on monthly cost can miss how much they're committing long-term. That's why understanding dealership pressure isn't about sympathy, it's about leverage. When you know why a dealer is motivated, you stop negotiating blind and start negotiating from reality. In a market like this, the biggest mistake buyers make is shopping emotionally instead of structurally. The truck looks great, the payment feels just manageable. The deal seems rare, and that's exactly how people get locked into financial decisions that haunt them for years. The first rule is simple: shop the payment but don't surrender to it. A lower monthly number doesn't mean a better deal if it comes from stretching the loan into the future. Longer terms reduce pain today and increase risk tomorrow. If your financial situation changes, that loan doesn't adjust with it. Second, separate financing from the truck itself. Always know what rates you qualify for before you walk in. Pre-approval doesn't just protect you, it changes the power dynamic. When the dealer knows you can walk, the conversation shifts. Third, compare incentives across brands, not just models. In this market, cross-shopping isn't betrayal, it's survival. If one manufacturer is offering dramatically better financing, that's not noise, it's information, and it gives you negotiating power even if you plan to stay loyal. Fourth, watch the add-ons. High-pressure environments are where unnecessary extras quietly multiply. Extended warranties, protection packages, bundled fees, all of them add weight to a deal that already strains affordability. If the numbers don't work without them, they don't work at all. Finally, know when to walk. The most powerful move in this market isn't negotiating harder, it's leaving. Inventory pressure doesn't disappear because you say no, it waits, and often it calls you back. This market rewards patience and preparation. The buyers who rush feel relief today and regret later. The buyers who slow down often get better terms and keep control of their finances. Because the biggest cost in this truck market isn't overpaying up front, it's committing to a payment that quietly reshapes your entire life. What's happening in the truck market right now isn't a collapse, it's a reckoning. For years, prices climbed faster than incomes. Financing masked the strain. Demand covered the gaps. But once interest rates rose and buyers hit their limit, the system had to respond. And it did, through incentives, financing shifts, and quieter strategies that don't show up on price tags. Ford's recent moves weren't an anomaly. They were a signal, a sign that affordability, not desire, is now the limiting factor. And once affordability becomes the bottleneck, the entire industry has to adapt. That adaptation won't look dramatic at first. It'll look like better financing here, softer used prices there, a dealer suddenly willing to deal. But over time, it changes expectations. Buyers become cautious. Loyalty weakens. The idea that trucks can keep getting more expensive without consequences starts to break down. This shift affects everyone, not just shoppers. Owners will feel it in trade-in values, dealers will feel it in inventory pressure, manufacturers will feel it in strategy meetings where growth no longer comes easily. The winners in this market won't be the people who chase the loudest deal. They'll be the ones who understand what's really happening beneath the surface and refuse to let urgency make decisions for them. Because the truck market didn't change overnight. It warned us quietly. And the smartest move right now is listening. Once again, thanks for watching this video. If you got something out of this, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. And hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Agree, disagree, or something in between. I'd love to hear it.